Hey everyone, it's Gabriela Barrero, and I am here with another New Jersey-based woman business owner. She's a part of our 25 Days of Small Biz Babes, and her name is Vidhi Shastri. Now, you might be sitting here wondering, what is craniosacral and visceral manipulation? Well, those are all of the things that Vidhi specializes in. She is a holistic physical therapist specializing in craniosacral and visceral manipulation, which sounds so crazy when you say it that slow, but it actually is something that is a true art form. She's also the owner of Retrain Physical Therapy. Vidhi, we're saying all these huge words, which you are easily able to break down for us and teach and guide us through. So, walk us through owning your own business, but also physical therapy, the world of physical therapy, and what brought you into craniosacral and visceral manipulation work, what that even means.
Yes. They are big words, but it's easy to understand. The bottom line is we're working on the nervous system, specifically the autonomic nervous system, but we also address the central nervous system. And how I came to this work is through my own journey of burnout. And I was going through I had no language for burnout, but I was going through so many symptoms of emotional pain, physical pain, and I had nowhere to lean to. So of course I leaned into Dr. Google and went to different therapists and figured out that I had to do a deep dive within myself, quiet my mind, and really come back to my body and the wisdom of the body to learn what this burnout was. And what started my journey to learning about craniosacral therapy, because craniosacral therapy, as it addresses the nervous system, what I am working on with my patients is bringing them back from their chattering mind into the wisdom of the body. And we go through different areas of the body where I feel there is an energy cyst. That's the words that my mentors use. Energy cyst is the place where there is stagnant trauma or energy that's been stuck for years in the body. And when we start to access that place, the place would have sensations that it might express, or emotions that it might express, or sometimes it's mental beliefs or energy that they can feel. And as they start to dive into the sensations of that part, the brain starts to integrate this part of their body that has been numbed or shut down or not even been able to express for so many years. So that's the whole picture of craniosacral therapy. So I work with patients with post-traumatic stress syndrome. I work with patients with birth trauma. I work with babies who have birth tension as they are coming out of the birth canal, or may have complicated birth history like C-section, vacuum, forceps. And we dive into the nervous system and where this nervous system is holding tension, and it goes from the spine to the cranium, and we connect all of those parts to release that tension through the body.
And now, as you're bringing this up, I want to make sure that everyone knows this one thing as well, that you also treat families. And I know that you've mentioned to me when we've chatted before that if the mother is holding things in this way, that you can often see it as well in the baby, in the child.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing I observed when I was 34 weeks pregnant and I went to this conception, pregnancy, and birth class through craniosacral work that I was learning. And we, on the last day of our class, we invited moms with 0 to 6 month old babies to come, and we were doing group work on moms as well as babies together. And it was interesting. I saw one of these moms who had scoliosis for 15 years, and she had to have surgery when she was 15 years old. And at that time, she was 28, I believe, and she had her son. And when we started to work on the son was unwinding, but the biggest change happened when we started to work on the mom's spine who had been holding the tension from the surgery that she had had through scoliosis. And as soon as we touched the mom's spine, the baby started to do his own unwinding without us even facilitating that. And it was so mind-blowing and mind-boggling at the same time. How do we do this, right? How does this even happen? It's just like a miracle in front of our eyes, and we all were shocked. But this is the power of the body and the connection that we share with our children.
Wow. And it also reminds me of the book, The Body Keeps the Score, and how, as much as we may try to medicate, placate, overeat, undereat, alcohol, whatever we're using to numb ourselves, it's never going to be able to erase the feelings that you are feeling in your head and how they're showing up in your body, and vice versa. And you've mentioned these trauma cysts in individuals that you work with. Walk us through how people traditionally work with someone like you and what kind of transformations they can expect to receive.
Right. I actually just treated a patient before got on this call, so she's coming to my mind right now as you're asking me this question. And you're talking about coping mechanisms, really, right? We have so many different ways to cope with our emotional or mental pain that we might have experienced in 0 to 3 years of our life. And then we continue to just repeat those patterns because the brain doesn't feel safe to allow us to get into the body, but the body has the wisdom. So we are really communicating with the body in my presence so that the body can feel safe through my hands, and then the body can start to reveal what it has been holding. And the brain doesn't feel the need to check out from the body, right?
Mm.
Because coping mechanisms like over talking, intellectualizing, all of those coping mechanisms can be calmed down when the body starts to feel safe.
I think it's almost like we need like a little DJ player set for you, like do 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 do, because what over talking of, right, these coping mechanisms that we're using is because we don't feel safe. But
Right.
the thing that we keep avoiding is going in and listening to our body. And
Exactly. And the
so,
wisdom is there, right? Listening to the heart center, listening to our pelvis, our creative power. And we can't
mm,
get and tap into that wisdom because the brain is still in survival.
wow. And I would love to, because there's some people that might be sitting here and they're like, I think you may be talking about me, right? What
Mhm.
are some of the symptoms, or what does the life look like of someone before they meet you?
Mhm.
And then what do they look like afterwards, after some
Right.
sessions with you?
So most of the times now I see complex patients who have had chronic pain for a long period of time and they have been through different practitioners and somehow they feel like they still need something deeper or they need some information from the body and they're not able to get there. There are people who've been to therapists, and I'm not against therapy, of course, because it's processing through their mind. And a lot of times patients would tell me that I have processed so much of my traumas with therapy. And sometimes I feel like the missing piece is my body. Like I feel severed, where my mind has all these stories, but I can't connect with my body. So those are the patients that I usually end up seeing. And then as we start to do craniosacral work or even visceral work, it allows their nervous system to come back to the body and really integrate the mind and body together. So in few sessions, it may look like, for instance, this person who came with her pelvic pain and right hip pain, she we just started to work on her pelvis the first time. Next time she came in one session, she said that that pain is gone, and she was able to sleep through few nights without taking Motrin in just one session. And then in our second session today, we were really able to dive into the sensations of the body that her brain didn't allow her to even go there on the first session because she kept just talking. There were so many things she had to just talk through. And this time it was quiet. She was able to go in the body, listen to the sensations, and make sense through her body in the brain. And that's when the integration happens because our biggest parts, the imprints in the brain are our feet and our hands. And those are the sensory areas we receive so much information. And as we start to dive into these parts of the body, the brain starts to light up, in different parts that it has numbed through trauma or injury. It could be physical injury, surgery, all different types of issues we might go through life. And then it starts to integrate those parts.
Wow, this is so expansive. And even as I'm hearing you, I just think that in 2026, we're really going to see a boom of these types of methodologies and thought processes finally being brought to life. Because I feel like as a civilization, as a society, we have nowhere left to run but to go inwards,
Right. Right.
especially if you have tried everything and it is still not working. The one thing that you might have never done all along because no one told you to do it was to listen to your body and come back home to your body
Correct.
and not take another this or that or this or that, but instead going internal. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that you have a few ways that you can work with individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know we mentioned that you can do a free 15-minute phone consultation if someone is listening and they're like, I think that I'm interested. I just need some more information. I'd love to see what this process is. What does this cost? What am I looking at investing? So, for anyone interested, how can they get in touch with you? And what does it look like to book with you?
Yeah. Uh, my patients or whoever is curious about this work, I would just love to have a conversation. Let's have a conversation through a 15-minute free consultation. You can do that on my website, www.retrainphysicaltherapy.net. And if you're already ready and you're like that person who's like, hey, I want to see you, there is also a place on my website where you can book your first consultation or first evaluation. And then we can do the evaluation and dive deeper into what you might need and how we can continue to further work together. My website is again www.retrainphysicaltherapy.net. Um, the other ways I am creating more workshops that are coming up in 2026. So all of the updates also come through my website or on Instagram. You can connect with me on Instagram as well, Retrain PT and Wellness, where you can just follow through the content or even feel free to come and ask questions if you're curious about this work and see if you're the right fit for the work.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Vidhi. And one of my favorite things to ask at the end of these lives is there a book or a quote or a person who really changed the game for you in 2025?
This year, I think the book that is coming to me right now is The Whole Brain Child.
Mm.
It's written by Daniel Siegel, and I'm reading it for my own learning. And I have a daughter who's 22 months old. So it is allowing me to really integrate the brain piece and how we can bring the whole brain, the right brain and the left brain together so that we can be creative and analytical at the same time. And we're not just operating from one part of our brain.
Oh, that's beautiful, Vidhi. Thank you so much
Yes.
for being a part of our holiday gift guide.